How do I pick the right market for my startup? Choosing the right market and the right strategy to enter the market can be the difference between startup success and startup failure. The challenge is that the right decision might not be the most obvious decision. I should know. I've been involved in well over 100 company launches and product launches in my career. Analyzing the successes and the failures, it's clear why the company succeeded or failed. In today's video, I'll share with you the 10 things you'll need to successfully launch your startup to market. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit that subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started. Before I go through my process, I know that your journey will be different than mine. My goal in today's video is giving you a way of thinking about the market or the markets you choose, so you don't fall into any traps and make a bad decision that can kill you. So with that in mind, let's start with number 1 on my list. Number 1, whose lunch are you stealing? Years ago, when I was an entrepreneur in residence at Crosslink Capital in San Francisco, the CEO of Tabula, an ambitious semiconductor company, came in and pitched the partners. The CEO was really impressive, and his pitch of being able to overtake the market leader Xilinx was compelling. I spent my career up to that point in the semiconductor industry, so I had domain expertise that most of the partners didn't have. When the partnership debated the merits of investing, I argued that the frontal attack to kill Xilinx that Tabula was proposing was doomed to failure. I said, Xilinx will fight to the death to save their business. Gary, the partner leading the deal, dismissed my concerns, and the partnership went ahead with the deal. After 5 years and $250 million was invested, Tabula was shut down. Here's the deal. You have to understand whose business you're stealing, and you have to understand how important that part of their business is to them. In the Tabula example, they were going after the core of Xilinx's billion-dollar business. Of course, Xilinx was going to fight with everything they had. Remember, only fight when you know you're going to win. Tabula didn't, and they paid the price. Let's move on to number 2 on my list. Number 2, how do your customers make decisions? Understanding who you are selling to and how they make decisions is really important. For example, my company had an opportunity to get designed into a product Nest was making. We had our best applications engineer, Martin, work with the Nest engineers on the design since we had more expertise than they did. I'll get back to this later. The engineer wanted to work with us, but we neglected to understand that the purchasing agent had the ultimate decision-making power, and he didn't want to work with a new startup. So he found a similar product to ours and replaced our part with the competing part. It was a painful lesson for us to learn. If your potential customers do not want to work with a company like yours, then your odds of success go essentially to 0. That's why you want to choose who you sell to carefully. Next, let's move to number 3 on my list. Number 3, how long does it take to close a deal? Every market is different. Sometimes the purchasing decisions are immediate And other times, the process can take over 1 year. You need to understand how long it will take for your customers to make a decision. Obviously, the longer it takes, the more risk there is for your company. You have to think about how you will sustain yourself during this time period. And you have to decide if this is the right entry strategy for your company versus a market with a shorter decision cycle. Next, let's move to number 4 on my list. Number 4. How easy is it to use your product or service? The simpler you can make things for your customers to use your product or service, the better off you will be. This is where the way you build and support your products can matter a lot. It doesn't matter whether your product costs $1 or $1 million. If you can make it easy to use your product or service, then your chances of success go way up. Next, let's move to number 5 on my list. Number 5, how do you get in the door? In other words, how do you get to the right person who can make a decision to use your product or service? In consumer markets, the only barrier between you and the customer is your ability to get your message to the customer. However, in many business-to-business markets, the ability of finding and reaching the decision makers can be difficult. Do you get your message to them through indirect marketing? Or do you use a sales approach and get to the decision makers that way? Or do you do both? Are your potential customers large, complex organizations where it's difficult to identify the decision makers? Do you need to hire someone with domain expertise and contacts to help you? Your job is to think through this maze of decisions and figure out how you're going to get to the right person. Next, let's move to number 6 on my list. Number 6, how easy is it to replace you? Let's go back to my Nest example. A much larger competitor, Microchip, made a product that was virtually identical to ours. So despite all the free engineering help we gave Nest, it was pretty easy for them to design us out and design in Microchip. Competition is fierce when you're competing for million-dollar deals. The only chance you have of success is to have a significant advantage versus the competition. We didn't have an advantage and we paid the price. Next, let's move to number 7 on my list. Number 7. Where you start might not be where you finish, but where you start will determine if you get the chance to finish. I want to contrast the Tabula example with another company I am working with, Next Silicon. Next Silicon CEO Elad Raz purposely chose a strategy of indirectly competing with the market leader instead of Tabula's direct strategy of competing against Xilinx. The indirect strategy makes it easier to win at the beginning because the market you're choosing isn't as critical to your larger competitor. Plus, you can attack the larger market leader later when you are stronger. And if you combine a good market strategy with a product that is literally more than 10x better than the competition like Next Silicon has, then your chances of success go way, way up. Next, let's move to number 8 on my list. Number 8. How much of the market is really available? Products have life cycles that can be as short as months to 10 years. The true size of your market is the inverse of the life cycle of their product or service. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're selling aircraft parts for planes. The manufacturers redesign their planes every 10 years, let's say. And let's say that the manufacturers sell 1 million planes per year. The opportunity for you isn't 1 million per year. The opportunity is really 1 million divided by 10 years, which is equal to 100,000 per year. It's your job to size the market correctly. You can't just rely on market research. Next, let's move to number 9 on my list. Number 9, is anyone awake here? I truly love markets where your competitors haven't done any meaningful innovation in years. In other words, the competition is just treating the market like a cash cow. Now, you can enter the market with a unique and disruptive product and dominate the market before your sleepy competition has a chance to react. The key is finding a way to develop something significantly better than the competition. Next, let's move to number 10 on my list. Number 10. Are your customers dependent upon your expertise? If you can develop a product or service that makes your customers dependent on your knowledge and expertise, then you are in a great position. When you do this, you're selling something that's really hard to replace. It's difficult to replace your knowledge and skill. That's why we like to work with customers like Nest. We had more knowledge than they did, so we could leverage that to win. However, you need the other advantages, especially having a unique product or service that can't easily be replaced. We didn't have that with Nest, so we lost the design. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. Stack as many advantages as you can when you're selecting your markets. You need as many advantages as possible to win when you're a startup. So ideally, your market choice would have elements of all 10 items on my list. In addition, you want to make sure you haven't overlooked anything that could kill you, like in my Nest example. Now, I have 2 more things for you today. First is my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below to get yours for free. Second, join my free group of startup CEOs, Zero to Pitch. It's a community for startup CEOs focused on growing their companies and raising funding for their companies. Click the link below to join. Finally, click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.